Today on the pod, I talk with Mike Powers, the head boys basketball coach at Seneca East High School. Mike talks about being a young first-year head coach during a pandemic, his love for sports growing up, and who has helped him out along the way so far. Hope you enjoy. Welcome to the Bases Loaded podcast. I'm your host, Gabe Kennedy, and today my guest is Mike Powers. Coach, how's it going?
Good. How are you, Gabe?
I'm doing fantastic, man. So how old are you and what's your current profession?
I am 26 years old, and currently I'm teaching elementary at Wynford. I graduated from Wynford and teaching there, obviously. I coach 2 sports.
You're teaching phys ed in a time of uncertainty, big time. You guys have been pretty fortunate at Wynford as far as not having to go full remote yet. Do you guys have a plan? Do you have a plan in place for how the heck do you teach kids phys ed elementary if you go remote?
It's wild, man. Yeah, we have a plan set. Last year with all the schools going remote, for the last couple of months, we kind of had the plan going into this year. If this were to happen, what are we going to do? At Wynford, we actually had a practice day as well. And I'm lucky enough, I work with Amber Groves. She's the other phys ed teacher at the elementary, so we can kind of feed off each other. We work well together. Basically, all we do is we record fitness videos, send them out, have them send a video back to us showing that they did it, and they get their credit. But yeah, it's wild, having kids. You always say, make sure you have your shoes on, but you're in the house. Make sure you stay away from the TV. We don't want to break anything.
So the rules are a little bit different. I was gonna say, with teaching world history, freshman world history, remote for me is not too bad. History is not too bad to do for kids or the teacher, but I'm thinking like math and all this other stuff be tough. I'm like, phys ed, what are you doing for phys ed, man? You just like you running around the house and you like the parents are recording it or what?
Yeah. I bet you the parents hate us come remote time with phys ed.
Yeah,
I've actually had a few parents email me and be like, oh man, Billy, he woke up and said, we got to do phys ed, and they're getting us to do it with them, and we're actually working out too. So it's kind of cool.
Oh, that's awesome. So, so far with you being the head basketball coach at Seneca East, what are some of the issues you and your staff or your team have had to face so far with the COVID stuff?
Yeah, the issues really started back in the summer. Your normal summer as a basketball coach is trying to find whatever camps you can find and shootouts to go to and compare where your team's at with other teams. Obviously, we didn't get that this year. For a 2-week span, we actually had to go in and nobody could share the basketballs. And it's like, well, how the heck are these players supposed to practice if they can't share a basketball? And it actually worked out for us because we just took everything back to the fundamentals and, a lot of ball handling, a lot of shooting, but, pass it to yourself, work on your footwork. So that was a big challenge trying to keep it, fun for the kids when, you can't actually play the game like they're used to. But we just did a lot of competition stuff in the summer. I posted all the results for the kids to kind of shoot for. But I told a lot of coaches, and I tell everybody that asks, how was that this summer? And I go, for us, it was like the best thing that could happen. I'm a firm believer. I don't care how good you are as a player, you can always work on the fundamentals. You always need the fundamentals. And for our team especially, I think that's, big contributors to why we've had the success that we've had so far this season was just taking it back to the fundamentals. And then, jump into the season, it was pretty tough again because, the question after football was going on, all we heard were, hey, you know what? As soon as football is over, they're going to shut us down until January and hope we can pick it up back then. So everybody's got that in the back of their mind as we're trying to practice and get these kids ready for, game one. And again, it's like, how do we keep these guys motivated and keeping them ready to go and practice when I'm sure they're thinking, well, geez, are we going to do this for, no reason? Are they going to cut our season short? Are they going to cancel it altogether? So that's been tough, or that was tough. Now, recently, obviously, you see all the schools around, they're getting hit hard with quarantines. And I think the most difficult thing and the craziest thing is you don't only have to worry about your team now, but when you go play, let's say, we go play Colonel Crawford, hopefully nobody on our team has COVID or gets sick. And now we got to worry about Colonel Crawford. If one of those kids gets it that played against us, now we're shut down for 2 weeks as well. That just happened with our girls team. One of the girls came down with it, and they played Bucyrus last weekend. Now Bucyrus is shut down for 2 weeks because all the girls that played in that game were exposed. So it's real difficult to kind of go through. I think the toughest thing is really thinking this could be our last day of basketball, or we could be shut down in 2 weeks. You just never really know.
So do you also have kind of an appreciation for that? And, each day when you step on the court for practice or whatever it is, pregame for a game, is it one of those things where you're appreciating the time that you have? Because like you said, it could be 2 weeks, it could be a month, it could be the season. You look at how they shut everything down, late last winter and then the spring and then the uncertainty of football. Do you appreciate each day more knowing that it could be taken away just like that?
Oh, definitely. And that's been like our message to our kids from day one is, play every practice, play every game like it's your last one because you truly never know. And, it's tough saying that. It's tough looking at your guys in the eye and saying we got to play like this because we truly don't know. I'm sure they don't really want to hear that, but at the same time, it's just reality. And yeah, you look at last year, the teams that made it to regionals, and there's a girls team that made it for the first time. They're getting ready to go to state. All of a sudden, season gets shut down. You look at your baseball programs. They didn't even get a season. So really, I look at my seniors and I go, guys, there's no time to say, we'll get next game. We'll pick it back up next practice. We don't really have that time. So yeah, it's definitely that's kind of the message we keep going forward with is we truly never know, and work hard now because tomorrow might be different.
So for you personally, being a first year head coach, maybe it's a good thing because you don't know any different. But I don't know. Is this a good time to have your first look at being a head coach? What do you think?
I really don't know. That's a good question because from when I've been around basketball as JV coach at Wynford past couple of years, I've seen it from a totally different view. All my summers, and then all of a sudden it's my time to run a program, and this is what happens. It's just tough. It's weird.
Coach Moore didn't prepare you for this, did
he? Yeah, no, he didn't put that on his list of stuff to prepare for. That's for sure. Yeah, no, it's just been wild. It's been a very wild year, but really I'm grateful because I'm going to be honest, I was really down at the beginning of the year thinking, maybe we don't get a season. That would really suck being a first year coach, have a team to look forward to. You just work the whole summer with, and then you don't get to have a season with them. So yeah, I'm definitely appreciative of what we've got to do so far and hopefully continue to be able to do.
So what I know each school is different as far as people that are allowed to show up. Some schools no one's allowed to show up. What is your guys' rules as far as fans in attendance?
Yeah, right now the N10 conference kind of got together at the beginning of the season, and the ADs had a meeting, and it started out with like when Governor DeWine made an announcement that he only wanted to see parents in games. Well, then I think a couple hours later, the next day, it changed to immediate family only. So they got together, and really, I think what it's come down to is let's just not have more than the capacity that we're allowed to have. Like at Seneca East, we're allowed to have about 190, I believe it is total. So we just we give out our tickets, make sure we don't reach that number or get past that number, and tell them family, try to keep it within the family. But I know every game I've watched so far, and I'm not gonna lie, even some of ours, there's been your normal fans in the stands too, but the big thing is just making sure we don't go overboard with that.
Absolutely. So for you, what was your life like growing up being around sports?
Yeah, I've been around sports my whole life. It starts with just watching them. on TV. You know, your normal kid grows up watching all the cartoons in the world. Well, for me, it's a little different. I turned on ESPN and watched the reruns, everything I could. And I think my favorite channel was actually the old ESPN Classic. You remember that?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that was my favorite channel growing up, just watching like old school games. But I don't even know if they have that channel anymore, to be honest. But yeah, I just grew up around that, and my family is a big sports family, both sides. My dad's side, my grandpa was a head basketball coach, and then my dad's was a head basketball coach. No, my mom's side, we don't have a lot of coaches, but they just loved playing sports. We had a cool tradition growing up. Every Sunday, we had Sunday dinner at our grandparents' house, and all the aunts and uncles, all the cousins got together, and in the winter, we played cards, we played euchre. But in the summer, we either played volleyball or my family, that side of the family is big golfers, so we'd go out in the yard and just chip golf balls around. So yeah, I just really grew up around it because my family's always been real big into sports. And like travel sports. I played baseball, I played basketball, I golfed all the time. So yeah, I just every part of the season, I think I had a ball in my hand. It kind of depends. If basketball was on the TV, I had my basketball shooting on the couch, pretend it was a basketball. If baseball was on, I had my little mini souvenir wooden bat that I got. I'm a big Tigers fan, so I remember that thing. Swinging that around, hitting wiffle balls around the house. I'm sure my parents loved that growing up. But yeah, it was just I watched them and kind of developed a love around it by watching them, by playing them, and just having a family that enjoyed being around each other and playing sports with that.
So you mentioned your mom's side of the family. You didn't mention this in the pre-pod, so it kind of got my attention when you're playing, sports with those people on your mom's side. So was there a specific cousin or maybe an aunt and uncle that you definitely wanted to be teammates with because they were studs?
Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, and you definitely when it came to volleyball, you definitely wanted to be on Grandma's team too, because she always got the calls.
Yeah, you can't. You
uh,
start arguing. You're like, dude, it's Grandma, man. Come on, it's a family event. It's Grandma.
yeah, nobody likes to take it out on Grandma. You just want to be on her team. But yeah, I definitely had that. We had that cousin that you just, no matter what sport it was, you wanted him on your team because he was always the best one out there.
Love it, man. So I just picture you and like another cousin picking teams, and your first pick is Grandma. I love
Oh,
it.
it's got to be Grandma. Get a
Uh,
little brownie points with Grandma and to get the calls come game time.
it's a win-win
when it
situation.
when it came baseball though, Grandma was always the all-time pitcher.
There, there
She
you
didn't
go.
want to do a lot of running. She just stood on the pitcher's mound.
Yep, get a bag of ice ready to go, man. That's awesome. So for you as a kid, who did you try to emulate growing up? Who'd you look up to? What sports stars?
Really, there's two sports. Like talking about golf, it was always Tiger Woods. When I was growing up, he was just winning everything. So when I'm out in the yard hitting golf balls, I just imagine myself being him. Hitting it on the 18th green at some major tournament. Basketball, as crazy enough as to say, and I'll get into this. It was LeBron James growing up.
Sure.
I mean, he was that guy that ESPN was following around when he was in high school, and I was lucky enough. My dad and my grandpa kind of took me around to his games, and I got to watch him play live a few times. It was just like, I could just picture myself with that bag of popcorn in the stands, my mouth wide open, my eyes wide open, like, oh my goodness, this guy is the best thing I've ever seen. uh, but yeah, it was LeBron James, which, like I said, it's crazy enough because now I just can't seem to stand the guy. And I know it's got to be because he left Cleveland, and ever since then, I've kind of had a you know, sour taste in my mouth when it comes to LeBron James. But yeah,
Well, as I
he
said,
was he was the one.
we've all got those moments of everyone does in their life about a disappointment, a breakup, or somebody you look up to, not giving you the time of day. Was that the worst moment in your life when,
Oh,
as
it
far
was
as that goes,
it.
when LeBron left?
I honestly don't know which one was worse, the first time he left or the second time he
You
left.
gave him a chance. Okay, we're
I'm like, okay, he came back. We'll give him another chance. And then like, a couple of years later, he's gone again.
he cheats again, man. Once a cheater, always
Yeah.
a cheater. Man,
uh,
man. So were you one of the? Do you remember what you were doing? Where you were at when he made the first decision? I remember we were on vacation in Ocean City, New Jersey, and that whole day revolved. And I'm not even a big basketball fan. The whole day revolved around 8 o'clock that night. LeBron was making that decision.
mm-hmm.
And I don't, I don't dislike the Cavs. It's just kind of whatever. I was just there for the entertainment. And of course, it's like an
Yeah.
hour-long special, and he makes the decision at like 8:59. It was so dramatic and drawn out, but
Oh gosh.
and then that night, social media was going crazy. I want to say that I saw you on Facebook burning a jersey. Were you one that was burning LeBron jersey?
Yeah, I was probably the little kid in the back, jumping, throwing all my jerseys in that big bonfire that they had going on downtown Cleveland in the streets.
Yep. And then a couple years later, you went and bought another one, right? When he came back.
Yeah. A little bit bigger size, but yeah, still ended up in the same place.
Oh man.
So yeah, I mean, you asked if I remember. I actually do. I do remember. I was at my grandma's house and watching on her little kitchen TV, and I didn't even know better. To me, I didn't even think. I thought there's no way he was leaving. Why would you make this big deal all about you just to leave Cleveland when everybody is just going to hate you after this? And then he does it, and I was still in disbelief after he made the decision as a little kid sitting there like, no, you can't. Like, it's just not possible. You're supposed to be here forever.
It's like Cleveland doesn't deserve that,
No, right.
So for you, we kind of talked about this in the pre-pod as far as when you were a kid and now. Sport-wise, between basketball and golf, which is your favorite?
Yeah, I've thought even since the pre-pod, I've thought a lot about that question because I really don't know. I kind of mentioned this earlier. It just really depends on the season. Come summertime, it was golf growing up because, I mean, we still played basketball, but my family was big golfers. We'd go out in the yard. We'd go to the golf course. But yeah, once basketball was on the TV, that's all I wanted to do is keep that basketball in my hand. It didn't matter if I was at a gym shooting at a hoop or if I had to pretend my couch was a basket and I'm going one-on-one, with 5 seconds left on the clock. But I can't really tell you which one was my favorite. It just kind of depended on the season. Now, I would definitely say it kind of depends on two things. If I'm talking about playing the sport, golf's definitely my favorite. It's just something that everybody can go out and do. I do a lot with all my friends. Not play as much open gym basketball as I used to, but watching it, I still think basketball is my favorite sport to watch.
So explain to me how that is, because I'm not a golfer. Putter, I can do that a little bit, but golfing, I don't.
Putting through the cloud's mouth, you can do that.
yeah. But as far as actually golfing, it's great because you can be however old you want to be able to. That's what you're saying about you can golf as long as the weather's okay. You can go golf, but how is that for you? Because golfing. You went to college for golf too, right?
Right. Yeah, for 2 years.
Yeah. So you golf in high school, you golf in college. I don't think there's probably, you probably don't run out of a tunnel onto the golf course, right? Like you do on a Friday night football game. You don't have all those fans screaming. It's just not the sport. But then now all of a sudden you got all these, guys who played football, never ever golf. Now they're trying to golf, and you're like, dude, I've been telling you for years this is the sport, right?
Exactly. That was, we kind of touched out of the pre-pod. All my buddies in high school, it's like, man, why don't you come play football? Come play football. I love to, but I just love golf too much, and they always kind of, joke around with me about golf and not playing football. And, the day they graduate, and they're off not playing football. What's the sport they're all playing now? They're always on the golf course. And I swear they want to golf more than I do right now. They want to golf every day, whether it's 90 degrees or 30 degrees. I'm like, guys, if it's not sunny, I don't want to be out there anymore. You know, I've played enough.
They're trying to catch up. They're trying to
Yeah.
lost time.
Yeah. Uh, but
So
yeah, it's pretty cool because, you know, golf's that game, like you said, you can do your whole life and everybody seems to enjoy it, no matter if you're Tiger Woods out there or just your everyday golf course hacking around, and you get that one par, and you know that one par, that one birdie. It's like, man, I'm coming back next time. I got to do this again.
and then the next time you're terrible, and you're like, I got to go back and get that again. No matter what, if it's good or bad, it always brings you back, right?
Right. Yep.
So let's talk a little bit basketball again here. How did you land the job at Seneca East? You're only 26 years old.
Hmm.
That's got to be one of those things where, you know, personally, that's got to be something that's always in the back of your mind that, you know, you're young, you got a lot to prove. How did you land at Seneca East?
Well, so I've been the JV basketball coach at Wynford the past 2 years. That's where I was at. So I've been coaching, just not at the varsity level. And my dad, he's principal at Seneca East. He's always been there. Seneca East kind of touched on the pre-pod. It's been kind of my second home to Wynford. You know, I know everybody there, all the administrators, and then bring that to now, I knew the players on the team, so it wasn't completely new. But yeah, I got the phone call from Doug Mason asking if I'd like to interview. I said, you know, yeah, if nothing else, this would be a good interview experience. So I go there, and uh, it was actually my first interview I've ever had. You know, it's crazy because, like, at Wynford, I never had a teaching interview because I was lucky enough. I was a long-term sub for about 3 weeks right after I graduated at Wynford. So right at that point, the next year they go, hey, look, if you want the job, it's yours. So I never really had that interview experience. Even as a job, I never had the interview. I worked at the golf course. I was lucky enough to just get right in. So yeah, I was pretty nervous, you know, like, what are they going to ask? You know, trying to prepare myself with how it's going to go. But knowing Doug helped a lot because it was to kind of ease the nerves, and we were just talking hoops. You know, it wasn't a formal like, hey, let's sit down, you know, turn the lamp on, but spotlight's on you. It was just kind of normal conversation. It was nice. But yeah, end up that day basically having the job offered to me, and I had a lot to think about. You know, it's never easy leaving a job that, you know, especially you work there, you work at the school. I'm still a teacher there, so that's not easy. I absolutely love the kids at Wynford, the players. That was the first phone calls I made were to those players when I decided to take the job, and just to let them know. And tell you what, that was the toughest part of it all. But yeah, I took some time to think about it, and I thought, you know, I'm 26 years old. I have an opportunity right here in front of me that I was presented with. And if nothing else, again, this is going to be a great experience being a varsity coach and be able to run my own program. So I accepted, and I love it. You know, I think back every day how much I appreciate going through with it and taking the job because, I mean, the kids are great, the coaches are great, the administrators I work with over at St. East, they're great to me. It's, you know, it's just a nice program all around, and it's been a lot of fun.
So what would you say is some advice you've been given about starting your head coaching career? I'm sure
You
a
know,
lot of people talk to you. What's something?
oh yeah, yeah. The best advice, honestly, that I've gotten was just do your own thing, run the program you want, and don't, you know, listen to any of the outsiders. Because no matter if you're 20-0 or you're 1-19, you're going to have people on the outside talking about something you could be doing better, you know, as a coach. Or, you know, I've realized you're not always going to be able to make everybody happy, and that's been tough for me because I don't like knowing that somebody's not happy with a decision I made or something that's going on. That's, for me, that's real tough. But you just got to really realize no matter what you do, there's going to be people that don't agree with something that's going on. And you just got to block that out and keep doing things that you want to do.
How much would you say, and we didn't go over this as far as a question, but how much would you say you have learned being a head coach in this short amount of time so far?
A lot. I mean, honestly, especially with that stuff of just you always got to be ready. No matter if you win your first 3 games, you still got to be ready for that kid that wants to know obviously what he has to do better to get minutes. Or that parent that comes in that just wants to know what could their son do to get more playing time. And it's like, man, it's so tough because when you get in that moment, it's I know this sitting in the stands watching other people coach, you always think, why aren't they doing this? Why aren't they doing that? Why isn't this kid playing more? Why aren't they subbing enough? And when you get in that moment and when you're the actual coach, sometimes those things you don't think about. It's all about what's going on in the game. So you kind of lose track. So that's one of the big things I've tried to remember and learn from is to keep everything in mind as I'm going. And lucky enough, I have great assistants. Uh, Doug Mace is my JV coach. My dad's my varsity assistant. They kind of help with those little things of substitutions and, let me know what's going on in the game. That way I can really just focus on, the X's and O's and trying to win that ball game.
Awesome. So you kind of mentioned a couple of these guys, but who are some mentors you've had so far that have helped you out along the way?
My biggest one's been my dad. He was always my coach growing up with, travel baseball, travel basketball. But he wasn't just like my coach on the field. He was like my life coach too. He held me accountable with everything I did. He would be the first one to rip me. I tell you what, if I did something wrong. And I appreciate that so much because I realize now, especially being a coach, that shows you care. That shows you want the best for your son or for your player on that team. So just having him there, and it's real nice having him beside me on the bench. Kind of just calms me down a little bit when I look over and see him. But some of the coaches around the area, obviously Steve Moore. I was working under him the past 2 years, and I kind of touched base with him about what was going on, and he's been great trying to prepare me. He's known all along that I wanted to be a varsity coach, and he really took it upon himself to be the main guy to kind of prepare me for that. And then, there's so many great coaches. Coach Sheldon over at Crawford, Joe Banfield at Willard, Nate Hill. They're always text me if there's anything I can do to help. Let us know. It's not, hey, you're coaching at one of our rival schools now. I'm going to forget about that guy. It's never like that with those guys. It's so nice because I'm 26 years old. I'm a young coach. I realize I don't know everything about the game, and I kind of find myself just watching those guys do the things they do. Joe Banfield, I actually texted him. I watched the Willard versus Cary game. And it's pretty cool because it was something that not a lot of people have noticed, but just me watching how he goes about his ways of coaching. But what happened was they were down 3 to Cary and had a last-second shot to tie it up. Unfortunately, they missed it and lost. And I watched Coach Banfield in that moment, and a lot of guys are going to get mad, they're upset that they lost. But what he did, he was clapping, and he went right up to that kid and patted him on the back. It's cool because that right there showed me that's a guy that cares about his team. And I think, what he said to me after that, I kind of talked to him about that. I just said, look, as a young coach, watching you do that, it's pretty cool stuff. And I think he made the comment of, I know how hard my guys work, and, that's what it comes down to. They're working, they gave it their all, and sometimes it just doesn't go your way. So that's nice. And I'm lucky enough to be able to, in the summer, I golf with a lot of these guys. Coach Moore, Coach Sheldon, Coach Banfield, Coach Hill. So I kind of try to be a fly on the wall when they talk hoops and just learn from them in that moment as well. But another guy is Paul Dunn over at Mohawk. I know him. He was a golf coach at Mohawk a couple of years ago. And again, it's just, these guys are just genuine guys. They want to help you, and I've learned a lot from them, and I've really looked up to everything they do.
Good stuff, man. So what's your thoughts on a shot clock in high school basketball? Yes or no?
I say yes. Now I realize people listen to this. Some are for it, some are against it. And here's why I say yes. If you watch the way my team plays, we run and we shoot anyway. We get a lot of shots up in the game. Obviously, if you're a coach that is more, I don't want to say the term old school, or where you're like setting stuff up and you're just slowing the tempo down, you like the game that way, you're not going to want a shot clock. But my thing with the shot clock is it doesn't have to be like the NBA where it's 24 seconds. And by the time you get past half court, you only have 10 to 12 seconds, 15 seconds to shoot the ball. Um, college, what's it, 35 seconds, I believe, or 30. But it doesn't, like high school, it could be anything you want. It could be a minute. You can still let the coaches, let the teams run their system, run their plays. But I'm definitely more for the, get up and down style of play, run quick sets, and kind of let the guys just play the game of basketball instead of slowing it down and chewing 3 minutes off the clock every time.
Absolutely. So what do you miss most about high school at Wynford? And again, all my stuff's on audio. I don't do anything on YouTube, but I am wearing my
got
Wynford.
your W on.
Yeah, I got that
Yes,
W on.
sir.
I got the Royals garb on here. What do you miss about being a high school student athlete at Wynford?
I didn't really realize it until coaching it is just being able to play the sports. I don't get to play them anymore unless it's just on my free time playing my buddies for a quarter, a hole, or whatever it is. You don't get to compete with your best friends, and that's just what I miss about the most in high school and talking sports is I got to play these games with my best friends. I got to go to school every day and see my best friends. And now, if I want to see my best friends, it's got to be a phone call where I got to drive an hour and a half or shoot them a text. You can't get it together as much as you used to. It was just easy. And that's kind of been a message again to my guys, especially my seniors, is look, guys, I know what it's like. You get to play this game every day with your best friends. It's not always going to be like that. So, yeah, I just definitely miss being around them every day.
What would you say the best school lunch is at Wynford?
I love the chicken patty. I don't know what it was about the school chicken patty.
Really?
But I would always double up on that chicken patty every time.
Sure. So as a teacher, do you pack a lunch or do you buy the school lunch?
I pack every day. I pack a lunch, but I always check around, see what's going on in that school lunch. And if they got the chicken patty,
Sure.
I'm double lunching it.
Are you trading some elementary, kids like, hey, I'll give you this banana and this PB&J for that chicken patty sandwich? Never know, man.
Right.
That's awesome. Do you remember who you sat by in the lunchroom as a high school kid?
Oh yeah, yep. It was always our best friends, same table, every day, same spot. It's pretty cool. A funny story. One of my best friends, Todd Carter.
Oh,
TC.
TC's the man.
Yeah,
TC is the
he
man.
is. Yeah, you know him real well. We're best friends today, but it didn't start like that. Back in elementary, it was kind of funny because he would sit at one table, I'd sit at one table, and there'd be these dang carrots and peas and pieces of corn flying through and hit me in the face. And it was TC.
Really?
He was throwing food at me back in the day. And yeah. So it was just kind of funny from, the funny stories back then of just, messing around with each other. We weren't the best of friends, and now we're the best friends in the world. We talk every day.
Right. So you're like, I'm either going to punch him in the face or become best buddies. One or the other. Maybe
right.
both.
There's no in between.
That is good stuff. So with the holiday season here, what are some family Christmas traditions that you guys have had?
Every year we get together at my grandparents' house, and just enjoy dinner, usually about 3-4 o'clock, have some presents that we, give each other and open. Obviously this year things are going to be a little different for everybody, I'm sure. But I'm definitely going to miss that. But yeah, I mean, we just get together, we play bingo, we have gift exchanges, pretty cool, just enjoying time with the family.
Good deal. So as I say, I don't know this year if people do like you have to like open the present on Zoom, you like ship them to each other. I don't know. It's going to be weird unless maybe people just wait till summer, maybe when this is over and be like, hey, let's have Christmas in July. And,
Christmas in July.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Well, all right, Coach. Thanks a lot for being on the podcast, and best of luck to you in the future, man.
Hey, appreciate it. Thanks for having me, Gabe.
Thanks a lot for listening to another episode of the Bases Loaded podcast. And be sure to follow us on Instagram and Twitter @Bases Podcast.